Hello, everybody. Oh, thinking, I'm blank. Oh, never mind. I'm trying. All right, let's try this. See, hope it works. So Ostrander and Councillor Wilden are joining us through Zoom, virtual means. So I'm going to chair the very beginning until we do a nomination for chair. So I'll call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. Okay. I'm going to do the Indigenous land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the municipality of Brighton is located on the Mississauga and Anishinaabeg territory and is the territory or traditional territory of Mississauga. The municipality of Brighton also acknowledges the Mississauga nations are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Now I have a motion in front of me to do the selection of the chair. Moved by Mayor Ostrander, seconded by Councillor McCausland, that council select Councillor Rowley to chair the August 11, 2025 council meeting. Are there any discussions? All in favor? And that's carried. I'm going to hand this over to you now. You're not working either?
Okay. Sorry about that. So first order of business is to approve the agenda for the August 11, 2025 meeting as presented. It's moved by Councillor McCausland, seconded by Councillor Butwell to approve the meeting. Any discussion? All in favor? That's motion's carried. Am I supposed to sign that? Am I supposed to sign it? Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? And if so, please state the general nature thereof. There are none noted. Are there any announcements? Councillor McCausland.
I just have one regarding August 17th, Sunday, from 10 to 4 is Agricultural Day at the Cotterington Community Center. So if you want to stop by, it's free admission and there's lots of fun things planned for that day.
Anyone else have announcements? I do have a couple. Just get my notes here now. We've had a couple of busy weeks here in Brighton. A week or so ago, we had Art in the Park again, which was well attended by members of our community. And that evening, once again, the annual Rotary fundraising street dance, although I did not attend, but looking at some of the pictures, the street was full, so I'm sure they had a great time. This past week, myself and along with Mr. Jefferson of the Economic Development Committee, we went on the agricultural tour. This year it was in Crammy. We spent some time on a farm. Once again, saw some nice calves. Spent some time also at Sandy Flats Sugarbush as they are redoing a lot of things back there to increase more than just their seasonal maple syrup festival. And then as well on Saturday, we had Barns to Beaches, and we don't have any of our ECDEV staff here, but well received and out evening. Crowd's not as big as what we get at concerts, but that's good. We like that, but it was a great evening, and I think many people enjoyed that as well. So nobody has anything to add to that? Okay. I'm sorry, Councillor Wright. Sorry. I'm gonna have to look both ways.
There we go. Just wanted to say I got to go out on Saturday, I believe, if I haven't got my days completely turned around. I think it was Saturday I went out and joined at Dottie's, Saucy Dottie's. It was their 5th anniversary, and my goodness, that woman is a spitfire. There was a ton of fun to be had. She had samples out. She was hugging anybody who wanted a hug. Really great business out there. If you haven't had Saucy Dottie's, I highly suggest you go try it. I walked away with a box full of sauce to hand out.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on. So next we have the adoption of the minutes. Moved by myself, Councillor Rowley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that council adopt the July 21, 2025 council meeting minutes as presented. Any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. The council adopt the July 23rd, 2025 council planning meeting minutes as presented, moved by Councillor Butwell, seconded by Councillor Wright. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. So we have no public meeting this evening. We'll move on to delegations. Our first delegation and our only delegation is from Friends of Presqu'île, Mr. Dan Riggs, Director of Grants, and Terry Buchowski, Chair of Friends of Presqu'île, regarding an application for a green municipal fund under Growing Canada's Community Canopies program. Gentlemen, floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. As she suggested, my name is Dan Riggs. I'm the Grants Director at the Friends of Presqu'île. Terry Bukowski, our Chairman of the Board, is here today. We're here to talk to you about a request for partnership for a Green Municipal Funds grant for tree planting. Jessica? Let me give you a little bit of background behind this story first, and then I'll tell you why we're really here. Reforestation in Presqu'île is necessary and urgent. You're residents here, so you know that in the past 5 years, we've experienced some severe storms with high winds, and this has brought down a lot of trees in our area. Now, that wouldn't be so bad in it of itself, but next, please. The emerald ash borer has taken over southern Ontario, and it's gone through and it has decimated Presqu'île's ash trees. That also, in and of itself, would not be so bad, except for the fact that the ash trees account for about 30% of all of Presqu'île's trees. So if you go along Hobbswood Trail, as you see from one of the pictures here, you'll see that there's a lot of areas that have no forest canopy, and there's a lot of apparently dead trees. And in fact, there are thousands of dead, dying, and down trees in Presqu'île. So reforestation is vital for maintaining ecological integrity and species conservation. If you go to the park, you know there's quite a number of species that call the park home. But over and above that, every year, there are a number of migrants that come from all over the Americas to this area, going one way or another, and they stop off around Presqu'île to rest, to refuel, and they need the forest in order to have that part of their life cycle relatively unstressed. So that's very important for maintaining species conservation. And were we to get this grant, one of the things that we would do is to plant a variety of trees such that we wouldn't be susceptible to things like the emerald ash borer that targets only one or a few species. So we can't have, we will plan for not having catastrophic things happen in the future. Next, please. Reforestation in a healthy forest is also very important for climate change mitigation and to moderate weather. One of the things that you might be aware of is that the forest canopy and has a cooling effect, and that's quite obvious these days because it's been so hot here recently. You go out in the sun, it's very hot. You go under the shade, it's very cool. That cooling is very helpful to lots of different things in the forest and actually in here in Brighton as well. If you remember back to school days and your chemistry teacher talking about photosynthesis, the forest is very important for photosynthesis. It takes our waste carbon dioxide that we breathe out, it turns it into oxygen that we breathe back in order to conduct respiration. You might not know that trees absorb a variety of volatile organic compounds and microparticles, and this has been front and center lately because of the forest fire smoke that has been in our air from the wildfires that are out of control in various places. And lastly, trees conduct transpiration. What that means is that they take up water from their roots. The water that they can't use, they expel as water vapor. And what that does is it helps to complete the water cycle. That water vapor is important for rain, of which we haven't had much lately. So I think you can see that having a healthy forest is in our interest. Next, please. Lastly, a healthy forest is important for human health and well-being. Psychologists have not a theory, but a word called ecotherapy. I would call it forest therapy, where going out into the forest or a wild and natural place gives you more physical activity. It induces a sense of well-being and mindfulness that reduces stress amongst humans. Reforestation is very important for the visitor experience at Presqu'Île. There are a lot of campers, there are a lot of day use people. If they have a good time, if they see a nice forest, they tell their friends, it's on social media, they come back, their friends may come. This brings tourism to Brighton that supports our businesses and that increases our tax coffers. Next, please. What I want to talk to you about is Growing Canada's Community Canopies, the GCCC program that's funded by the Green Municipal Fund. What this requires is a professional forester to come out and survey the forest and assess what's going on and what needs to be done and come up with a planting plan. And that's what's going to happen this week when we meet with a forester from Trees Canada. This project, if we get the money, is scheduled to begin next spring, and it will run for 3 years and continue until the spring of 2029. It's a one-to-one matching grant program that has a minimum ask of $50,000. And what this means is that the proponents have to come up with at least $25,000 as their share. We, that is the Friends and Ontario Parks, will contribute to this, but we're also looking for other benefactors and donors to help us out with this project. The deadline for applications is September 18th, and that's about 5 weeks away. Now, why we're here is for the following reason. The Green Municipal Fund, by its name, typically deals with municipalities, and those are typically the proponents for grants such as these, but non-municipal applicants, such as nonprofit organizations like the Friends, can be at the primary applicants if they have a resolution that's drafted and adopted by the municipal council that partners with the project. So what do we need? The proof of resolution may be provided by one of the following: a formal copy of the resolution, a signed and dated copy of the minutes at which that motion was adopted, or a signed and dated copy of the text of the resolution with confirmation that the applicant that the text is identical to that adopted by council. So that's pretty straightforward. They provide a sample council resolution text that you see on the screen here now, and it has some areas that I've highlighted in yellow. So it's fairly straightforward to complete by putting the names and the project names in there. On the right-hand side of the screen, I've filled in those names. But I want to direct your attention to the lower right-hand corner, and I'll read it. The municipality of Brighton also recognizes that the lifetime contribution from the Growing Canada's Community Canopies Initiative will not exceed $10 million for tree planting within our municipality, inclusive of a maximum of $1 million for infrastructure activity cost, and that if approved, this project will be counted towards that limit. So let me go through that again more simply. What is the cost to Brighton? There is a lifetime funding cap of $10 million per municipality, and that should not say for this project, but for tree planting projects. Next, the minimum grant ask is $50,000, and that's our target. That gets our foot in the door so we can get some money for reforestation. But we'll be soliciting grant funding until the deadline to try to make the grant as large as possible. Let's suppose that we get $75,000. What does that mean to Brighton? What that means is that this would reduce Brighton's future ask from that organization by less than 1%. That is $75,000 of a $10 million cap. So we can come up with the $50,000. I feel quite confident about that. But any cash contribution or consideration for grants and aids by the municipality would be very much appreciated on this project. Now, if we have the support of council, there are three other questions that we need answers for, and I'll go through these quite quickly. Has the municipality previously received funding through the Government of Canada's 2 Billion Trees program? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm thinking the answer to that is no. Second, has the municipality where trees are being planted previously accessed funding through this particular program? I'm thinking the answer is no, but I don't know the answer to that question. And thirdly, who would be the municipal contact for this project? So in summary, this reforestation project would not cost the city any money. We just need your support. And it has ecological, species conservation, human health and wellness, and economic benefits to the city. We appreciate your time and thank you for your help.
Thank you very much, Mr. Riggs. Does anyone have any questions for the delegate before I read the motion? Councilor Botwell?
Thank you, Councillor Rowley, through you to Mr. Is it Riggs?
Riggs, yes.
Thank you. So the more that you secure for this grant application, am I understanding correctly that there's a maximum payable out, and that the more that you're able to secure the more they're able to secure, that reduces the total amount that Brighton will be eligible for under this program?
Correct. It is a one-to-one matching grant. So let's say for every $25,000 we come up with, they will match that. So that's 50 total. That is subtracted from Brighton's future ask up to $10 million.
So Brighton would have a total of $10 million total future.
Forever, yeah.
Forever.
A lifetime cap.
So, for example, $25,000 would actually be $50,000 off of the 10.
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. And are other municipalities in the area that are that use the park as well? Are they being asked for the same consideration?
Well, to be honest, I hadn't thought of doing that. I mean, this is the primary residence of Presqu'Île. We could do that, though time is drawing near. But I mean, the reason I'm here is not really to ask you for money, but to find a municipal partner that,
Right.
we obviously have a good relationship between the Friends and the park and the city council. We just need that piece of paper that says we support this project, and that's I only need that once.
So we support this project and we acknowledge that it reduces our total ask down
That
the
is
road.
that is
So-
one of the pieces of that council resolution.
So while there's no actual cost, there is consideration involved.
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
Okay, thank you. Just want to clarify.
Is there anyone else who has a question for Mr. Riggs? Councilor Wilden?
Thank you, Councillor Rowley. I'm very happy to support this, but I was curious if there's been any connection with Lower Trent Conservation Authority. I know that they are actively engaged in getting green municipal funding for tree planting in the region.
I personally am not aware of that activity. Whether we could partner, well, we can't partner with them because they're not a municipality. We could partner with them to have a larger grant, but the idea or the negative side of that is that our energies would be going to, and money would be going to plant trees somewhere other than close to home here. And that's my job with the Friends of Presque Isle, is to try to help the park and try to help the city. And I understand we're a part of the Lower Trent Conservation District, but that has not come up, but
Okay.
perhaps should be explored.
Thank you.
Councilor Boutwell?
Again, thank you through you. And I'm understanding that the acknowledgement that we're being asked to provide would limit the maximum contribution to $1 million of that 10 million from the Brighton Fund. Is that how I read that?
No, the total cap per municipality
Okay,
is $10 million.
right.
But part of that $10 million can be taken up with infrastructure funding. Let's say you have to plow up something in order to plant trees or something like that. Part of that, $1 million of that $10 million can be taken up in that way.
Okay. Is there a limit or is this just an open-ended matching program? So a minimum of 50,000 if you are successfully able to secure support in the amount of 500,000, that comes off of the $10 million.
I wish I had that problem.
Well, you never know, right?
Well, maybe I have a rich uncle somewhere, I don't know, but I think that my sense is that we would not get more than $100,000 unless some, as I said, rich uncle shows up. Our target is 50. That gets our, that makes us qualified in order to get some funding. I think if you wanted, we could establish some boundary on what that cap would be for this particular project and say it's not going more than $75,000 or $50,000 if you wish. As I said, we're here to try to get this council resolution. Any money on top of that is, that's fantastic, but this gets our foot in the door for getting some funding for an important project. We're certainly willing to put a cap on what that would be if that is a concern to the municipality.
If I may kind of continue. So what is the term of this particular endorsement that we would be providing under this resolution? Is there a 2-year sunset on this? Is it it is a one-time application?
It is one-time application for a 3-year grant. But essentially your commitment is a lifetime commitment in that whatever funds are awarded, that is subtracted from your lifetime cap from the GCCC. So anything going forward from that 3-year point by us or by anybody would be a new round of applications that may have its own, issues of timing or funding amounts. Does that answer your question?
Possibly. So this is a 3-year window, a 3-year project window. with an application deadline of September.
Correct.
So come October 1st, there's no continued ask for money, and we're not just kind of opening the,
You mean, would we ask you for funds
No.
after that?
no, not
Or
even us. Could you continue through the next 3 years? Continue, say, for example, going to maybe Quinty West or something and asking, and that dollar amount then continues to subtract over the course of 3 years?
no,
It's just
so
this one,
just September the 18th is the important date.
okay,
Everything is frozen at that point, where whatever we apply for, and if the adjudicators decide, okay, this is a good grant, that's what we get. And if we raise $10 million after that, well, we didn't need their help anyway. So,
so if you raise $10 million after that, we're not
No,
sitting at zero.
no, we would just say thank you very much to the rich uncle and plant lots of trees and maybe even give some money, right? And who knows?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mayor Ostrander, I see you have your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, thank you, Mr. Riggs, and thank you to the Friends of Presque Isle for bringing this forward. I think it's a great opportunity to partner with another organization in an area that we know has been devastated from a forestry perspective. So I do hope Council will support this. You know, at the end of the day, $10 million gets us an awful lot of trees for a fairly small community. So I don't think taking 0.75% of that out and offering it to an organization that works and thrives in our community and helps us be a better place is a bad idea. So I look forward to seeing this project move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there anyone else who has a question for Mr. Riggs? Then I will read the motion that I have here, and Mr. Riggs, also, we do have a motion later on in the meeting to discuss your request.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So it's moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Mayor Ostrander. If I could please just clarify something, I had moved and seconded a bunch of motions, and the clerk corrected me that I am now not allowed to do that. So Mayor and Councillor Wheeldon, I have inserted your names on a bunch of motions, so I hope that you're okay with that. So I'll start this one again. So moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Mayor Ostrander, that the council receive the delegation from Mr. Dan Riggs, Director of Grants, and Terry Bukowski, Chair of Friends of Presque Isle, regarding an application for a green municipal fund under the Growing Canada's Community Canopies program as information. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Thank you, Mr. Riggs. To the clerk, do we have any citizens' comments? So we'll move on past that. Next, we have, hold on 2 seconds here, people. Got more paper. Next, we have annual stormwater report. CA, you'll be speaking to that, Director Lennon. Thank you. The floor is yours, Director Lennon.
Thank you, and through the chair, I have nothing specific to add to the report. However, there was some customer concerns submitted to council after the posting of the agenda. And I just wanted to assure council that staff are operating the municipal storm ponds in compliance with MECP. We do have work plans for many of the concerns that were raised, and I do plan to respond to the customers specifically on each concern, you know, today or tomorrow or the next day. I'm happy to ask any or answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. Lennon. Is anyone who had any questions for the director? Councilor Wheeldon.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to make note of the mention of Phragmites at the Orchard Gate Stormwater Pond. There are both native and introduced species of Phragmites, and Lower Trent Conservation Authority is beginning a program to try and tackle Phragmites throughout the entire watershed because they are getting out of control. And so I just wanted to make note that I'm happy to send an email and connect Director Lennon to Ann Anderson at Lower Trent, who's heading up that program.
Thank you, Councillor Wilden. Director Lennon, did you want to respond to that?
Yes, thank you. And through you, thank you, Councillor Wilden. Happy to connect with Lower Trent. I do have experience managing invasive Phragmites, both on roadsides and wetlands. So I see it everywhere I go. So it's easy to point out. The concern with invasive Phragmites in one particular storm pond is really the issue. It doesn't really impact the functioning of the storm pond. It's more trying to control the spread of the invasive vegetation. Thank you.
Is there discussion or questions from the director? Councillor Wright.
Look to your right, look to your right. Thank you, Councillor Rowley. I just had a question. I read the letter from, probably the same letter that you saw come through, and I was just wondering about the question, and I can't remember if it was herbicides or pesticides that were being questioned, the use of, that were potentially impacting, increasing the amount of algae in some of the stormwater. I think it was in the Brighton by the Bay stormwater pond, and was just wondering if you could speak to that. Is there use of any of those products that would be contributing to the worsening of the algae in those systems and some of the problems that she was noting?
Through the chair, yes, that particular pond is maintained by a private group under our guidance. They do not cut the vegetation within the offset distance from the water. They do apply herbicide further back, even beyond the 10 feet, 25 feet or so. It's my understanding the MECP guideline prohibits the use of herbicides and insecticides near low water. That's near isn't defined, so we have to establish a reasonable buffer. But my understanding is it is 25 feet. As fertilizer is also applied by a professional, but the MECP guidelines state that fertilizer use should be limited, not prohibited. So we're monitoring that, and we'll work with that group to make sure those guidelines are followed.
Anyone else? Then I will read the motion that moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Wilden, that council received the staff report regarding the annual stormwater report for 2024. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Our next report is from the CAO regarding the Brian Todd Memorial Community Fund and the Grants and Aids Partnership update. CEO, would you like to speak to that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to outline this direction, or the direction that came from the last meeting, was to work on an agreement. And unfortunately, there really wasn't sufficient time for us to continue to have dialogue following the submission of the package that you have that was submitted by the Brian Todd Memorial Fund. So my recommendation based on the timing is that we proceed with the same way that we've done them historically for this budget season, as we are getting into that timeline where the expectation will be there that applications will be made. And that will give us sufficient time and assistance with a new treasurer coming on board to continue to have dialogue and potentially look at other options as well, as there was some discussion about that. So the original motion that was requested with the agreement, unfortunately, we weren't able to fulfill. But I think this year, if we stay status quo, we'll be able to come back to council and have a good method moving forward that everybody can be happy with.
Thank you for that. Is there anyone who has any questions for the CAO regarding this? If not, I have a motion moved by Mayor Ostrander, seconded by Councillor Wright, that council directs staff to investigate all options for administering the Grants and Aid program, including continued discussions with the Brian Todd Memorial Community Fund, and provide a recommendation to council by April 2026 in preparation for the 2027 budget year. Once again, does anyone have any questions? All in favor? Motion. Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Butwell, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Rowley. I am looking to get confirmation, so it's to provide a recommendation to council. Will we be privy to what other options were considered and explored?
Through you, Chair Rowley, to Councillor Butwell, for sure. We will definitely, provide council with an outline of exactly what we've looked at, any continued discussions that we have, as well as anything new that we investigate and bring council that report. My assumption will be with a recommendation, a staff recommendation, but certainly for council to have that discussion.
Okay, because I would very much like to see options, because we had raised a few minor concerns.
Mhm.
And I'd like to make sure that we properly look after the money that we collect on behalf of our commercial community.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I don't think I need to read the motion again, so I will just call for the vote. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. The next item is also from the CAO regarding the ongoing report on capital projects. CAO?
Thank you, Chair Rowley. The only thing I will outline is just with regards to the financing strategies for the fire hall and the paramedic base. It does say August, which clearly we have not met that deadline. And hopefully we will have something to you by September. Again, with the addition of the new treasurer, I would feel far more comfortable to have his input on this as opposed to bringing something to council too soon and then having to make changes. So hopefully September still might be aggressive because he'll just be arriving, but we'll try to get it to you as quickly as we can, because I know the fire chief is also anxious.
Is there anyone who has questions for the CAO on this report? So the motion is been moved by Councillor McCausland, seconded by Councillor Butwell, that council receive the CAO ongoing report and capital projects update. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. We have no notices of motions or motions. We have no unfinished business. We have no bylaws. So we are now at reports and minutes of advisory committees of council and review teams. So the first report we have is from the Northumberland OPP detachment board minutes of May 23rd, 2025. I have a motion here moved by Councillor Wheeldon, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that council received the Northumberland OPP Detachment Board May 23rd, 2025 meeting minutes as presented, and OPP report for months of May and June of 2025. Are there any questions for clarification, or is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. The next motion is, I don't have a seconder. I have it moved by Mayor Ostrander. I need a seconder that council received the Lower Trent Conservation Authority meeting minutes for May 8th and June 12th, 2025 as presented. Councillor McCausland? Is there any questions or for clarification on these reports? So I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Next, we move to correspondence. The first motion I have here is moved by Councillor McCausland, seconded by Councillor Wright, that council support the request from Friends of Presqu'île regarding an application for the Green Municipal Fund under the Growing Canada's Community Can program. And if supported, whereas the municipality of Brighton has the following interests promoting reforestation of Presqu'île Park, and whereas the Friends of Presqu'île is undertaking the Presqu'île Park Restoration Program, therefore be it resolved that the municipality of Brighton acknowledges that the Friends of Presqu'île is applying for a funding opportunity from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Growing Canada's Community Canopies Initiative for Presqu'île Park reforestation in partnership with Brighton. And further, the municipality of Brighton also recognizes that the lifetime contribution from the Growing Canada's Community Canopies Initiative will not exceed $10 million for tree planting within our municipality, inclusive of a maximum contribution of $1 million for infrastructure activity costs, and that if approved, this project will be counted towards that limit. And if further supported, that council approve a contribution of ... to the Friends of Presqu'île for the Presqu'île Park Restoration Project. Is there any discussion on this? Councillor Wheeldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would be happy to dedicate some funding to this, but I recognize we're about to go into budget. Would we be able to make a pledge that we could then budget for later?
That'd be a question for the CAO.
Through the chair to Councillor Wheeldon, although we are going into budget discussions, I think based on the timelines, it would be better if council just made a recommendation to provide those funds, as they will need them for their application, and we certainly won't be ready before September 18th.
Is there, do we have a place for some of these funds? Do we have money in the bank?
Through you, Chair Rowley, to Councillor Wheeldon, I suppose that depends on how much you're planning to contribute. I would assume we probably are covered, but cautiously, as I don't know what the amount is. But yes, we have some money in the bank.
Would it be appropriate to have a matching program of our own, so that we match private donations up to a certain amount, and then GMF matches the total of that?
For me.
For me.
Through you, Chair Rowley, to Councillor Wheeldon. Council could essentially do this any way they wish, although it might become a bit of an administrative burden to the municipality if we're trying to encourage others to donate so we can match. And again, I look at the timelines that they have to pull all of that together. So my recommendation would probably just select an amount, and you know, we can note it's coming out of reserves just in case, but assuming we don't go too crazy, we should be fine.
I believe Councillor Wright had a question. And then...
Sorry, through you, Madam Chair. It was more of a question too for me, is where the money would come out of. If they're looking for a total grant of 50,000 and it being kind of a matched thing, I would think we would probably be looking at, as council, somewhere between and looking at the whole grant and aid idea up to the 20,000 mark. So I think we just need to come up with a number that kind of works within that realm that we can all agree on. That's kind of my thinking on this at this point.
Councillor Bothwell?
I'd like to put $25,000 on the floor for discussion. See, because we need to start with a real number to understand where the money's coming from.
Mayor, I'll let the CAO speak first, Mayor.
Well, the mayor could speak first. Through you, Chair Rowley. As we're thinking this through, I seem to recall, and I do apologize because I don't have these numbers in front of me, that there were some funds left over from the grants and aid program that we didn't fully spend. So perhaps it would be better if staff could come back with that number, unless everybody wants to agree with the 25,000, we'll let the mayor speak. But staff could certainly come back with that number, and then that could guide you a little better as to what you wanted to contribute. But that's just an option.
Thank you. Mayor, would you like to make a comment?
Well, with thanks, Madam Chair, I appreciate that. I'm of course supportive of this. Happy to offer some form of donation. 25,000 seems a bit rich. No offense, Terry. We want to get you started, but we don't want to fill the pot. I think the most important thing is that we get through the whole concept of supporting the municipal partnership fund, so that the matching grants can happen through that process. So I would like to know what's left over, or it's never left over money, but what the additional monies are available through that grant and aid process, which will give us an idea of sort of where we're targeting as we try to move this forward. But as I said before, I'm certainly supportive of the entire concept and working with the Friends of Presqu'île to make this happen.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilor Butwell, I'll let you ask. I have a question too, but you can go first.
Thank you. So do we have a ballpark figure where we're talking about what was remaining? In my brain, I am pulling the number of either 13 or 17, but I'm thinking it's somewhere around there. So, and those are funds that have already been allocated for use with partners in our community. I wouldn't want to make a motion to say whatever's left over is provided, because what if it's like 3,000? That seems woefully low. So I just want to make that.
I'm thinking it's more than that. I was going to say around 15,000 as well, that I think might be left.
Through the chair to council, I would agree. I believe we're in the teens. I think council would be safe at 10, but we could certainly come back if there is an issue with a report. I mean, we can come back at the first meeting in September with an actual number if you want it to be more defined. I would certainly be comfortable with 10 tonight.
So as a follow-up or an amendment to what I was requesting before with the 25, so I would propose, and I realize you're comfortable at 10, I propose 15, but no less than 12.5. Because that's 50% of 25.
Right. So CAO, as you said, we have time. We can bring this to our first meeting, which still gives the Friends ample time to add that to their request, which would be matched then again, right? Or would this be totally different? Like if we added it to their pot of 50,000, then could they then ask for 50,000 plus whatever we gave them, which would give them a little bit more from this program? I don't know how that works. Do we need to ask Mr. Riggs?
Through you to council, my understanding is whatever they accumulate is matched, and they're obligated to accumulate 25,000. So anything we provide, I think, is going to go to that initial 25,000. If they manage to get to 30, then that will be matched as well. So certainly the sooner we can give them the information, the better. If you wanted to go 15 with a low end of 12.5, if for some reason there isn't sufficient funds in that grants and aid balance, then I can still come back at the first meeting in September to advise council that we have to find that money from somewhere else. I don't think it will be an issue, but again, just to be sure, we would just report back and let you know that there was insufficient funds there with a recommendation to take it from somewhere else.
Okay, so who's got their hand up? Okay, Mayor, you got your hand up again.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, just a reminder to council that one of the bullet points in my budget direction to staff was a tree canopy project for the municipality in our parks and on our roadways. So granted, the monies we're talking about now would not affect that in any way, because that would be in a future budget. So whatever we want to do is what we want to do, and we'll move it forward. On the other hand, I also don't want to be Dan's rich uncle. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I know what you're saying. Councilor Wilden.
Thank you, Chair. I agreed on all points there. I think 12.5 is a good place to start. That gets them halfway to their fundraising goal without breaking our bank. I'm happy to suggest that.
Okay, so how do I deal with that? Do you have to read that bottom part of the motion again? Can we plug in 12.5? Is everyone in favor of 12.5? Can I see a show of hands, please? Mayor, you're not in favor of 12.5?
I don't vote on motions, Madam Chair. So if you want to get a motion on the floor, I'm happy to vote on that.
I had the motion on the floor.
Well, then put the number in there and let's vote.
Okay, so I'll read that part of the motion again then. So that council approved the contribution of 12,500 to the Friends of Presqu'île for the Presqu'île Park Restoration Project. Any discussion on that before I call for the vote? All in favor? That motion's carried. Thank you. Okay. Next page. Okay, so the next motion I have here, also under correspondence, moved by Councilor McCausland, seconded by Councilor Butwell, that council received the letter from Sandra Dunk regarding the curling club accessibility. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment on that? Mr. Enter?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, I do know we have an accessibility plan, and we're working toward making our facilities more accessible. So through you, Chair, to the CAO, or maybe to Mr. Linnon, what is the current plan with regard to the curling club? Not that I really want to give this any credence, but I think it is important that we address the concern.
Comment on that, please. As the municipal representative for the curling club, and I should say it was kind of timely that the president of the curling club and myself and the CAO met today. So we did discuss this a little bit. I did question the president if they've had ongoing concerns from many others of the club as far as accessibility issues, and her comment to us was that they've not had any other concerns at this time as far as accessibility goes, except from Mrs. Dunk. They of course have some plans in place from those who do have difficulty with the stairs going in and out, but that seems to be satisfactory to both their board and to their membership.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilor Butler.
Just in response to the outcome of the meeting, while they may not have other people, there is one member who is asking to be accommodated. And I believe we do have some sort of responsibility in that we own the building to ensuring that the curling club is accessible for all of the people who attend there. I'm not involved in any of it, so I don't know what the ongoing discussion is. It sounds like there is something ongoing. But if there is a member who does not have full accessibility to the building, then one is enough in my opinion to address it.
Mayor Ostrander.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not aware of a person who's got accessibility concerns. We've received this letter from a member of the public who does not have accessibility concerns. So I'm not sure that we're actually. Listen, we have a responsibility to make sure our buildings and our facilities are accessible. I'm not sure that this building isn't one that will be in a more robust plan at some point for a future development, and then putting a large expense into this building wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to me. On the other hand, if there are concerns from the general public about the accessibility of this building, we should be making plans to move it forward. It is our facility. We do own it. But I just want to be clear that the person who drafted this letter is not a person in the community with accessibility concerns.
And if I might be challenged on this, but I would also agree with that to a point, and I do believe that Mrs. Dunk at this time is not a member of the club. Councilor Wright.
Sorry, I'm looking at the letter and I realize that she might not be a member, but that might be a consideration to the current state of her health and that she would like to come back but cannot because of her current accessibility issues. So I think that's more to the point than, and like so many of us in the community, there are health issues that are invisible and we don't always see them. And what might look like a perfectly healthy woman coming into the curling club may not be the healthy woman that you think that she is. So I do think that we need to take a look at this, and if there's even some things that we can put in the interim to make it a little bit easier, I think that's important to do. Not all disease is visible, not all disability is visible. So it says right in her letter that she's had 2 heart attacks and cannot do the steps to get into the curling club or into the washroom. That is a woman with an accessibility issue, period. My 2 cents.
CAO, do you have any comments?
Through the chair to council, since my arrival, we have not had any extensive discussions about doing any accessibility improvements to that building. I know Director Lennon was prepared to speak. He can maybe add to anything I have. There certainly are other areas in the municipality that we've identified, specifically this front reception area, which we have allocated funds to. So as we work through the refurbishing and trying to create accessible facilities across the municipality, we're prioritizing. Certainly with new builds, we have legislation that we have to adhere to, and there's legislation that I think they're hopeful that we will get there, but there's cost implications to all of those. So I'm not sure if Director Lennon has anything additional.
Sorry about that, through the chair. So personally, I haven't been involved with the accessibility committee for any of the Parks and Recs buildings. I have had discussions with the manager, Hallam, about some of our long-term plans. So as we're building budget for 2026, some of these discussions are going to be coming up. As CAO mentioned, we have been improving accessibility in other buildings with doorways and office spaces. So it is definitely on our radar. And this letter has just kind of brought that to the forefront a little, but we will be looking at alternatives where we can.
Thank you for that. So is there anything that needs to be changed then on this motion? The motion says, I'll read it once again, moved by Councillor McCausland, seconded by Councillor Botwell, that council received the letter from Sandra Dunk regarding the curling club accessibility.
Could we change that to make an amendment to refer to staff to find some sort of, even if it's a temporary solution until we can do something more permanent? And add it to the budget line, or to the budget, period.
Sorry, through the chair, would it be acceptable just to refer to budget? I'm cautious about asking to do a temporary solution when we have no idea what that cost implication might be. And I don't know that we would have a lot of opportunity to get anything done prior to the original draft budget coming forward anyway.
Okay. So refer to staff for a report and costs to be included in the budget.
Madam Chair,
Who's that?
it's.
Hey, Mayor,
me.
sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I move that we refer the correspondence to budget.
Okay, so I'll just scratch that away. So that council received the letter from Sandra Dunk regarding the curling club accessibility and refer the matter to budget. Is that your wording?
Why not?
Okay, thank you. Okay, any discussion from Council Butler?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to also note there is a ramp on the northwest corner of the building. Having used it very frequently last month, I can say that ramp needs reconstruction as well. There's bolts sticking out of the ground that many people tripped over. The railing's been piecemealed together. It's split in spots and there's not the proper turning radius for wheelchairs. So this might be an opportunity to repair that once and for all. It's been kind of knocked together back and forth a bunch of times.
Okay, so I'll read the motion for one last time. Moved by Councillor McCausland, seconded by Councillor Butwell, that council received the letter from Sandra Dunk regarding curling club accessibility and refer this to budget. Councillor McCausland, are you okay with that? Councillor Butwell? All in favor? Carried. Next, I have a motion moved by Councillor Wheeldon, seconded by Councillor Wright, that council will support the proclamation request for National British Home Child Day, September 28, 2025. And if supported, whereas the municipality of Brighton, Ontario recognizes the importance of the over 100,000 British home children from infancy to age 18 sent to Canada as indentured farm laborers and domestic servants. And whereas the goal of Canada's National British Home Child Day is to raise community awareness and the need to gain knowledge of this little known era of Canadian history that extended from 1869 to 1948. And whereas the awareness of this history recognizes and acknowledges the contribution made by these children to the development of communities throughout Canada. And whereas we especially honor those British home children who made Brighton and area their home and left as their legacy their descendants who carry on both local and national development and traditions. Now, therefore, Council of the Municipality of Brighton do hereby proclaim that September 28th, 2025 be known as British Home Child Day in Brighton. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Carried. And then we have a motion moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Mayor Ostrander, that council support the letter from the Honourable Robert Black, Senator, Ontario, regarding soil health in Canada. And if supported, whereas the Standing Senate Committee of Agriculture and Forestry published a report in 2024 titled Critical Ground, While Soil is Essential to Canada's Economic, Environmental, Human and Social Health, the report that contained 25 recommendations in total for the federal government. Therefore, be it resolved that the municipality of Brighton supports the recommendations included in the report, and further that the municipality of Brighton encourage the government of Canada and the province of Ontario to implement the recommendations contained within the report and commit to act accordingly in order to protect and conserve soil as per recommendation 25 of this report. And further, that this motion be circulated to the following: Robert Black, Senator; Philip Lawrence, MP, Northumberland Clerk; Senate Standing Committee on Agriculture and Forestry, all municipalities within the County of Northumberland, the Ontario Federation of Agriculture. Is there any discussion? Councillor Wheeldon.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to note that I really appreciate this. Soil has been a worldwide crisis for quite some time, but it's something most people have never heard of. So I'm really glad that we are recognizing this. I also want to note that soil is a natural asset, and one of the things in our strategic plan that we have not yet addressed in this term of council is the desire to map natural assets within our community. Being a primarily and historically agricultural community, the soil and healthy soil is one of our primary natural assets, but it's one of those kinds of assets that isn't usually recognized even as being a natural asset. Natural assets usually refer to things like marshes and wetlands, woodlands, things like that. And so,
Councillor Wheeldon, you just froze. You're good.
Okay. So I just wanted to draw attention to soil as a natural asset that we should be taking a look at. I am aware of programs within the region for mapping farmland and particularly soil health of different areas. So there are avenues for looking at this. I've had some preliminary talks with Lower Trent and Northumberland County about mapping natural assets in our region. And so look forward to hearing more about that in the future. But that we have the tools available to us. And so I just want to add that onto this push for recognition at the federal level that we can be doing some of these things municipally.
Thank you, Councillor Wheeldon. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? If not, I'm not going to reread the motion. I will just call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Next, I have a motion moved by Councillor Botwell, seconded by Councillor Wright, that council receive the Northumberland County updates August 4 to 15, 2025 as information. Does anyone have any comments or questions of clarification? If not, all in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Oh, okay, so now we have question period. Is there anyone here who has a question? I will direct them to the mayor. We have,
Coward,
I'm sorry?
coward.
So we have no questions. So I now have a motion moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Wheeldon. The council will resolve itself into closed session August 11, 2025 at 7:38 PM pursuant to the Ontario Municipal Act, RSO 2001 as amended, subsection 239 2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employees, physician recruitment agreement update. All in favor? It's carried. So take recess so that staff can get ready for those who are coming in virtually. And then we'll go into close. So, council met in closed session to consider matters. It is permitted to do so under the Municipal Act and as listed today on council's agenda and the closed session resolution. The following items were considered during the closed session and may require motions as necessary. Item 1, approval of the closed session meeting minutes for July 23rd, 2025. A procedural motion to adopt the minutes were voted on in closed session. Therefore, there remains nothing to be done in public session. Item 2, pursuant to Section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act 2001, council received and discussed personal matters about an identifiable individual, specifically physician recruitment agreement update. I have a motion in front of me to receive the confidential items from closed session. I have a motion moved by by Mayor Ostrander, seconded by Councillor Wright, that council approve the confidential instructions provided to staff regarding physician recruitment agreement update. Is there any discussion? I guess there isn't any. All those in favor? That motion is carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor McCausland, seconded by Councillor Butwell, that council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Corporation of the Municipality of Brighton council meeting held on August 11, 2025. All those in favor? That's carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor Wheeldon, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that the August 11, 2025 council meeting adjourn at 8 p.m. All those in favor? That motion is carried. And as the mayor would say, safe drive home, everyone. Enjoy your time away in the holidays, and may God save the king.